you can be in any seated position. And let's just, come into our breath, just our normal breathing. Your eyes can be opened or they can be gently gazing at a drishti point. And just notice your breath. No judgment, just breathe in and breathe out naturally. And you hear this, in every single yoga practice that you've ever done, that breath is the key tool to working through postures that may be stretching your limit a little bit. And if we can breathe through it and concentrate on our breath, we can hold those positions a little bit longer, and that helps us feel better at the end. So breathe. And now start your Ujjayi breathing, which is that Jahalalanda lock at your throat, which gives an audible sound to breath, the sound of the ocean. So you breathe in and out through your nose. And begin to visualize your breath as it comes in, as it swirls in through your nostrils, down into your bronchial tube, into your lungs, filling your lungs, going into the pit of your stomach. Maybe activate your diaphragm in your next several rounds of breath. So you're breathing deep, filling your whole torso. And as you breathe out, engage your abdominal, your lower abdominals, like you're zipping up your favorite pair of jeans, and the breath traveling out, back up through your nose and out your nostrils. And then breathe in. I see it sort of as a swirling imagery coming in. And breathing out, pressing it out. Let's do this for 5 more rounds at your time. That imagery of your breath coming in and filling your body is the first step in a mindfulness practice. And one more breath in and out. Now take your mind as you continue this breath to the top of your head, the crown of your head. How does that feel? How does your head feel today? Maybe your thoughts are traveling around, but bring your thoughts back to the crown of your head as you continue your Ujjayi breathing. Travel down to your eyes. How do your eyes feel? All that they see. My eyes are closed, but I can see the light from the window, causing a brightness to the outside of my eyes. Now come to your ears. What's the furthest sound you can hear? Now, what is the closest sound that you can hear? Maybe it's the sound of your breath. Continuing Ujjayi breath, draw your attention to your nose. As you breathe in, maybe the air is cool. It's a cooler day outside. Maybe you can feel that coolness coming in and exiting your body. Now draw your attention down your face to your lips. My lips are moving as I talk, as I breathe. Now to the inside of your mouth. Relax your tongue if it's at the top of your mouth. Relax it. What's the taste in your mouth? Maybe you can still taste the coffee or the tea that you've drunk this morning. All the things, all the pleasure our mouth gives us. We thank it. 2 more rounds of deep, deep breath, the deepest yet. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And if your eyes are closed, softly open them. And we're going to start to give some wake up to our head. Drop your chin to your chest. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder, keeping your shoulder down, really energetically dropping your shoulder. Now move your right ear to your right shoulder. Now bring your chin up and face the ceiling or the sky. And now drop it again. Left ear to left shoulder, right ear to right shoulder. Drop your head back. Look up. Now do this in a circular fashion. Drop forward, left, back, right. Circling your neck around, giving extension to your neck, limbering it up and around and around. Now stop and go in the reverse direction. Breathing Ujjayi the whole time. Really dropping your shoulders down, your back, energetically doing so. One more trip around. Breathing in and breathing out. And come to a comfortable seated position. Bring your right arm above your head. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And gently bring your right ear to your left. Your left ear to your right shoulder. drawing your arm, maybe giving a further extension, and draw it up to the ceiling. Go to the other side. Bring your left arm up. Really stretch it up, keeping your shoulder blade plugged in. And now draw that left arm over and your right ear to your right shoulder. Really energetic. Come back up and switch. Right arm up, extend, plugging your shoulder in and drawing now that arm over, and try to bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Maybe it doesn't go that far, that's fine. Come up and reverse to the other side. Drawing your right ear to your right shoulder. I don't know if you notice, but I notice. Come back up, my two sides, and bring your arms to your hands to your knees. I notice my two sides are so different. I can do some stuff on my right side that I can't on my left. I think we all have kind of that difference. So just notice that. Shrug your shoulders up and draw them down. And do that a couple times. Bring them, really scrunch them up, and now really draw them down your back. Draw them up and down your back. Now put your right hand on the floor and bring it out maybe a foot beyond your body, beyond your hip. And again, draw your left arm up, and now bend that right elbow and draw big side body stretch. Come back up to a seated position, draw your right arm up, bring your left arm out. I do cupcake fingers, and I bend my elbow and I really draw. Over, good. Come back up, hands to your knees, hands to prayer. Close your eyes, breathe in and out. Breathe in. We'll start the practice with the sound of one Om. Breathe in. Om. Let's go to our mats. You can bring your blocks with you and make your way to tabletop. So your knees are right under your hips. Your legs are stretched out. My toes are flat or something approximating flat on the back of my mat. And my forefingers are facing 12 o'clock. And we're going to go through a few rounds of cat and cow. We've kind of woken up our neck and our shoulders. Now let's really focus on waking up our pelvis. So a very accentuated cat, really shifting your sacrum to the ceiling, looking up. Exhale into cat. Really drawing back. Halloween cat, arching your back, chin to chest. Now cow. Breathe and really accentuate. Really swiveling your hips back and forth. Cat. Cow. Swivel up, look up, and cat. Really arching your back while still at the same time plugging your shoulders in. Now one more cow. Exhale to cat. Bring your hands out a little bit further in front of you. Flex your toes and lift your knees off the ground just 2 inches. And breathe. Plug those shoulders into your shoulder blades. Breathe. Breathe here. And release. Come down onto your knees. And bring your butt back towards your heels in a flex toe child pose. Come back up. Bring your knees up off the mat, just 2 inches. Plug your shoulder blades in. Breathe. Breathe. Knees to mat. Extend back. See if your hips can touch your flexed heels. Breathe. Really extend your arms out in front of you. We'll do that one more time. Come forward. Come up. Bring your knees up off the mat. Just 2 inches and breathe. Really look at your shoulders. They're right over your wrists and breathe. And extend back, knees on mat, and gently and slowly extend back. Really give a full extension. Good. Now come up into your first downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet. Take any movement that feels good. My knees are very bent, so I'm trying to get my sacrum, just like we were practicing in cat or cow, I'm trying to get my sacrum up to the ceiling. And in order to do that, I really have to bend my knees. And just see how the difference is. Unbend your knees and see where your sacrum goes. So try to make your knees lock them, which is not something we usually do in yoga. But see what happens to your sacrum. Now bend your knees and see, and just feel that extension. You can get your sacrum pointing to the ceiling. That's the shape that we want. It doesn't really matter how much your knees are bent. Keep on pedaling. Come forward to high plank and come back to downward facing dog. Tiptoe forward to the top of your mat. When you get there, put your feet hip width distance apart and come into ragdoll, grasping opposite elbows and gently swaying. When we're in ragdoll, it's the same deal as we were doing in cat-cow, and the same situation as we were just doing in downward facing dog. Bend your knees and see how much more your sacrum can get to the ceiling. If you straighten your knees, you find that your sacrum is now tilting more to the mat. Bend and see what you can do. Drop your hands to the mat, forward fold, halfway lift. Your hands can be on your shins or your thighs. And the point is, straighten your back. Plug your shoulders in. Bring the crown of your head towards that front wall. Really extend. Engage your abdominals and forward fold. Halfway lift again. Breathe. Exhale, forward fold. Come up to mountain pose. Stretch, stretch, stretch up. Really spark up your fingers. I feel my abdominals are drawing in and forward fold. Halfway lift and step back to high plank. Strong high plank. Fingers, 4 fingers are at 12 o'clock. Halfway down, tuck your elbows. Come up into upward facing dog. Knees can be on the mat or lifted, but your chest is really coming through. And draw back slowly using your abdominals. Really focus on that to downward facing dog. Again, bent knees, sacrum up. You can continue to pedal and breathe. Take a big step forward with your right foot. Now follow with your left. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Extend. Forward fold. Half lift. Really stretch. Plug those shoulders. Forward fold. Mountain pose. Energetic. Woo! There we are. Forward fold. Step back to high plank. Strong. You are strong. Lower down halfway. Come through to upward facing dog. And roll back on your toes if you can to downward facing dog and breathe. 3 breaths. We do these sun salutations to wake up our body. We're saluting the new day. We can set an intention for the day. Maybe it's to find peace or ease, or maybe you'd like to challenge yourself. Whatever it is, think of something, and it can be something you can return to in this practice as we go through this wonderful, wonderful practice. Step your right foot forward, follow with your left to the top of your mat, forward fold, halfway lift, strong, forward fold, mountain pose, energetic. Dive down, forward fold, halfway lift, straight back, and step back to high plank. Take a breath, lower halfway, tucking your elbows in, through to upward facing dog. I'm on my toes, kind of on my flat toes, and I roll back to downward facing dog and breathe. Where's your sacrum? Trying to get mine to the ceiling. Step your right foot forward, come up to warrior one. So my back foot is strong in the back of my mat at 45 degrees. Set this up slowly so that you get the alignment right. Now, you can look at yourself. Oh, I'm not set up very good here. Let me see if I can. So you can look at yourself, if you can see yourself on the screen, you can see how you look. Can you guys see? You can't talk to me because you're muted, but see if you can look at yourself. So you want your front knee to be right over your ankle. You want your front foot, your front big toe pointing straight ahead at 12 o'clock. Your back foot, maybe at 45 degrees. You don't want it at 90 degrees. You want it 45. You want the blade at the edge of that foot really digging into the mat. That back leg is strong. I know my knee looks bent because my knees always look bent, but you don't want it to be locked, because when we lock our body, we're using our bones. We want to use our muscles. So here we are. Now come to your hips. I'm just going to go through the cues so that we can go through this, and I'm not talking so much because I don't think you need to hear so much from me. But anyways, you want your hip bones to be facing the front of the room. Now, this is a little bit tricky. Your pelvis is pointing down, so you have a neutral pelvis. It's not popping out and it's not going forward. It's just going straight down. My shoulders are on top of my hips, right? So all of this, there's a lot going on in this pose. And then when you're ready, bring your arms up to cactus. So start there, and then draw them up overhead with your triceps around your ears. And that's a full warrior one. Now I'm feeling this in my left hip, because I'm trying to draw my left hip forward and my right hip back. So there's a lot going on in this particular pose. But anyway, so you've got all these cues. Hands to mat, draw your right foot back to high plank, low plank, upward facing, and downward facing, and breathe. So let's incorporate all that when we do warrior one on the left. Step your left foot forward and come up slowly. Check out your alignment. See how you're doing. Look at your hips, your knee, your toes, your back leg. Come up to cactus arms, and now come up to warrior one and breathe. So if I was feeling that in my left hip, on my right side, now I'm feeling it in my right hip, because I'm really trying to bring that right hip around. You can use your hands to give you an assist and see where your sacrum is. Just kind of feel with your hands what's going on down there. And breathe. Hands to mat, step back. To high plank, we go to low plank. We come to upward facing and downward facing. We're going to do that one more time on each side in your own time. Breathe in and out and step forward. I'm actually going to scooch my toes a little bit forward on my right leg so I can be a little bit deeper. Breathe. Open up to warrior two. Now your arms are extended, one in front, one behind. Gaze over your forefinger on your right arm, on your right hand. And breathe and sink. Reverse warrior, your right hand extends straight up. Your left hand is going down your back leg. Now place your right arm on your right thigh for extended side angle. So this is side angle, your left hand is pointing straight to the ceiling. Extended is when it comes overhead and your tricep is hugging your left ear. Big, big, big side body stretch. Breathe into this. Use your breath. Hands to the mat. Step your foot back. High plank. Low plank. Your knees can be down. Upward facing and downward facing. And breathe. Same thing on the left. Step your left foot forward. Warrior one. Using all the cues. Take your time. There's no rush. Again, I'm going to scooch my left toes a little bit forward so I get a little bit deeper into this. Hold and breathe. Open to warrior two. Really stretch your arms out in opposite directions. Gaze over your front forefinger and sink. Reverse warrior. Look up at your left hand and extended side angle, or just side angle. Make sure you're not dumping your left elbow into your left thigh. Use your abdominals to really just use that arm as an assist, but not as a crutch. And hands to mat. Bring your left leg back. High plank, low plank, upward facing, and downward facing dog, and breathe. Take 3 good breaths. Step your right foot forward. This is crescent lunge. So before you come up, make sure your feet are at least hip width distance apart. So you're on a train track, not a cross beam, okay? Your front leg is bent. I'm up on my back toes. Your knee can be lowered. So let's do it with a lower knee first. I come up, my arms are parallel to my mat for crescent lunge, and then I bring my arms up, my triceps are around my ears, and I breathe. Your back toes can be flexed or flat. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Hands to mat. Bring your right foot back. Come back into downward facing dog. Breathe. Now step your left foot forward between your hands. I have to sometimes actually assist my foot up. Drop your right knee on the mat, toes flexed or flat. Come up slowly, arms parallel to the mat, and then using your abdominals, come up to crescent lunge. And breathe. Hands to mat. Now bring your left leg back. Come back to downward facing dog. Breathe. Breathe. If it's there for you, bring your knee up this time, or keep your knee on the mat. Crescent lunge on the right. And breathe. Bring your hands to your chest, and either with open arms or your left elbow on your left knee, twist to the right. I'm using my elbow to help me get around. On the inhale, we extend. On the exhale, we twist. So practice that. Inhale, extend forward. Exhale, twist. Come back up to crescent lunge slowly. Hands to mat. Bring that foot back. We're going to do the same thing, a twisting crescent lunge on the other side. Bring your left foot between your hands, or some close approximation to that. And very slowly, either with your back knee on the mat or not, come up slowly. This is really a balance. And breathe. Hands to heart. Twist left. Either extending your arms open or hooking your right elbow on your left knee and using it as leverage. Try to extend your crown of your head forward. And breathe. Hands to mat. Step your left foot back to meet your right in downward facing dog. And 3 breaths. Twisting is very good for digestion. Tiptoe your feet to the top of the mat. Maybe 8 little steps, maybe more, maybe less. And forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, come up to chair pose. So look down, make sure you can see your toes, that your knees aren't covering them. If your knees are covering them, try to shift your knees back. Your knees throughout this particular piece of series should always be parallel with one another. Your hands can come up to cactus. Your tailbone is facing the mat, so it's a neutral tailbone. It's not popping out in the back like that, nor is it tucking under. Come up to full chair. Breathe. And sink. Hands to heart. And here's another twist. Twist to the right. Hook your right elbow onto your right knee, using it as leverage. Sink your hips. If you can, open your arms. See if you can get your stomach off of your thigh. And bend forward to forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Come up to mountain pose. and sink to chair. Breathe. I'm looking down, I gotta shift my knees back. Hands to heart and twist left, hooking your right elbow on your left knee, using it as leverage, and the crown of my head is really drawing forward. Bring all your toes up off the mat. Now sink them down. That's a good way of feeling all four corners on the mat. Open your arms if that's there for you, and breathe. Hands to mat, forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, and mountain pose. Good job. I've got to adjust my shade because the light is blinding me. Let's get into some balancing. We're in the part of the sequence which we call equanimity. So we breathe, 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 breathe. You can come into Samasthiti so that your hands are facing the front. And just, if you've lost your breath, try to regain it. Trying to get my breathe, good. And wrap your right arm underneath your left and your right leg overneath to eagle pose. On the mat and just wrap your arms and sink. But if you can, try to wrap your right leg around and sink. If you fall out, doesn't matter, just come back into it. Find a drishti point, that can help. And that can help stabilize you and use your breath. Come back, feet on mat. And you know what? I need to take a drink, so maybe you do too. At any point, you stop and have a drink when you need one. And at any point, if you're feeling, you've lost your breath or just like, whew, take child's pose. There's absolutely, you should absolutely do everything you can to take care of yourself. Let's do chair again, and we're going to do eagle on the left. So we come into chair, breathe, wrap your left arm under your right, left leg over your right, drishti, breath, and bring your elbows up in line with your shoulders, and breathe. And if you can, sink a little deeper. And come up. Feet on mat, up to mountain. And we're going to do eagle on the right again. So I'm coming into chair. I'm wrapping my right arm underneath my left and my right leg over my left. I'm trying to make sure that my left knee is facing 12 o'clock. And I'm trying to bring my elbows up in line with my shoulders, all the while dropping my shoulders. So there's a lot going on. Breathe and drishti. And come up, mountain pose. Great. Bring your right knee up in line with your left hip. I have my left hand on my left hip. I'm sorry, let me start over again. Bring your right knee up in line with your right hip. I have my left hand on my left hip. We're going to open up. I'm going to open my knee up to the right, Bringing my left hand out to the left, and if you can, gaze over your left thumb and breathe. Feet to the mat. Staying on this side, draw your knee back up so it's hip height, your right knee, and kick back to airplane. Go as slow as you can, like you're going through molasses in January. Slow, slow. Give a little bend to your left knee, up dog in your chest, and your pinkies try to meet behind you. You're flying, airplane. Feet to the mat. Good. Maybe you feel this in your ankles. I sure do. Oh, our often overlooked ankles. Okay, eagle on the left. So we're coming into chair, wrapping left arm underneath right, left leg over right, and we are really sinking into this, using all the cues. Shoulder, breath, drishti. Come up to mountain. Raise your left leg, hip height. Mine is bent. If it's comfortable for you, you can straighten your leg, doesn't matter. I'm starting with my hand on my hip. I'm getting my mojo. I'm breathing. Now I open that knee out and I extend my right arm and I look over my right thumb. I bring a bend into my right knee so I'm really using my muscles and breathe. And if you fall out like I just did, come back right back into it. Feet to the mat, great. Now, arms up overhead. We're going to come back into airplane on the left. So set up your right foot, your toes are going at 12 o'clock. Bring your hands down along your side and slowly kick your left leg back behind you. Slow. Your drishti is on the floor in front of you. Try to straighten your leg. And like I say, falling out is always showing that you're pressing your limits, which is good. And breathe. Breathe and breathe. Feet to the mat. Good job. Because balance is so important, and I find it incredibly challenging, but I love it. I love to practice this. Let's do dancer. Just another balance pose. Grab your right ankle with your right hand. I grab my ankle on the inside. Bring my knees so they're kind of touching, kind of meeting. My thumb on my right is pointing up like I'm hitchhiking. Bring your left arm right overhead. My tricep is by my ear. And I hinge forward at my waist. Just enough. And I'm really pulling my leg with my arm. So there's a real strength there. And breathe. And breathe. Feet to the mat. In this pose, you can use a mudra, which sometimes can help. It's very common, where your thumb is touching your forefinger. So you can do a mudra like that with the arm that's facing forward. Sometimes that just helps in terms of concentration to help in balancing, to use a mudra. So try that. We're going to go on to the left. So with your right hand, touch your thumb with a forefinger and bring your left hand, your left palm to the inside of your left ankle. And with your mudra, find a drishti point and hinge forward. The best expression of this is where your shoulders are parallel with one another. That one, the right isn't popping forward. And breathe. And feet to mat. And let's do tree. Let's conclude equanimity with tree. So I draw my right foot kickstand inside my shin or up in my thigh, whatever position works for you. Draw your knee to the side wall, your raised knee to open up your hips. Hands can be at any hand position that works. And breathe. And drishti. Try to bring a little bend into your standing knee. Don't lock it out. Feet to mat. Let's do tree on the other side. Whatever variation works for you today is good. Feet to mat. Good job. Let's meet on our mats in a seated position. We're going to do a little bit of core work. So come up to boat. Whatever your high boat looks like, it can look like this, with your hands behind your hands can be extended, your arms can be on the mat. Whatever works for you, come up to your high boat. Low boat, gaze at your toes. Come up to high boat. Low boat, gaze at your toes. High boat, low boat, gaze at your toes. And flutter kick, 1, 2, 3, 4. Really engage your abdominals. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feet to mat. Good job. We're going to do 10 bicycles. Put your hands behind your head. Really extend your elbows out. Bring your knees up to a 90-degree bend, and you're going to bring your shoulder to your knee, not your knee to your shoulder, and extend the opposite leg. So 1 in your own time, 2, really concentrate. Think about just draw your attention to your abs so that you're thinking about them as we do this. We're all women of a certain age. 2 more. Good. Feet to mat. Good job. So while we're here, come up, let's set up for bridge. Graze the back of your heels with your fingers, your forearms really on the mat, your feet firmly on the mat, and we're going to use our legs and our arms to bring our hips up, not our gluteus maximus muscles. So breathe into this. Really energetic. Breathe. And down. Take a few breaths. Windshield wiper your legs. Come up for bridge number 2. Pop up. Draw your knees into one another. Breathe. And lower down. And breathe. And come up for bridge number 3. 5 breaths. And lower down to Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet touch. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Roll over onto your side and come up to a comfortable seated position with your legs extending straight out in front of you. Knees can be bent. Draw your arms up overhead, really energetic, and fold forward. I can grab the soles of my feet with my fingers. If you can, do that for leverage, bringing your lower back to your knees. Try not to round your shoulders here and breathe. My toes are really flexed towards my face. And breathe. Make sure your knees are unlocked. One more breath. Now bring your right foot to the inside of your left thigh for one-legged forward fold. Raise your arms up overhead. Pivot so that your torso is facing that extended left leg and bend over. Same deal. Lower back towards your knee on your left. And breathe. Place your left hand down right behind your hip. And we're going to bring our right arm up and place your right foot on the mat. Your left leg is still extended. We're bringing our right arm up so that our triceps are under our ear. Our left hand is behind us, and raise your hips and bend. This is sort of like a modified side plank and lower. So extend your right leg now. Draw your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. Bring your arms up. Twist your torso slightly so it's over your extended right leg and bend over that leg, unlocking your knee. Lower back to your knee, not rounding your shoulders. But drawing your shoulders down, which for me is like a constant battle. And breathe. Now bring your right hand behind you, and I am drawing my left arm overhead, and I'm coming up on my left foot for an extended kind of combination side angle, side plank, and down. Good job. Find a block or come up into shoulder stand. So waterfall is placing a block on your sacrum and your feet pop up. So I try to get my feet over my hips, not too far like over my shoulders and not too far forward, just right over my hips. If you're in shoulder stand, same thing. You want your hips kind of as much over your shoulders as possible. And if it feels wonky on your neck, get out of it. Because that is a pose that can put a lot of tension on your neck, and breathe. This is a restorative pose to bring the blood flow back to your big organs. Breathe. This should feel good. If you're in shoulder stand, come back to plow. If your toes can touch the mat. If not, just roll out of it. And if you're in waterfall, remove your block. Extend your legs out. Extend your arms up overhead for a huge body stretch. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Bring both knees into your chest, hug them, and roll both knees to your right and look over your left shoulder, extending both arms in a T. Bring both your knees into your chest again and roll them over to your left. Bring your arms out in a T and gaze over your right shoulder. Try to stack your hips. If your right shoulder pops up off the mat, that's okay. Breathe. Bring your knees into your chest again. Hug yourself into a tight, tight ball. Breathe, breathe, and extend your legs out and come into Shavasana, your final rest. Maybe your mind returns to the intention that you set. If your mind wanders, bring it back to square breathing. 3 counts in, hold. 3 counts out, hold. Bring some movement back into your fingers and toes. And roll to either side, cradling your head with your arm and coming into a fetal position. And breathe. When you're ready, make your way up into a comfortable seated position with your eyes closed. Sitting up tall, bring your hands to prayer, thumb knuckles at your chest. We'll end practice with the way we began, with the sound of one Om. Breathe in and out. Breathe in. We bring our thumb knuckles to our forehead. We look to the sky. The light in me honors the light in you. We bow and say, Namaste, Namaste.